Okay, how's it going, everybody? So we're going to read "Wage, Labor, and Capital" by Karl Marx. This is chapter one. This is going to be when does this come out? When did this come out? It came out in it's Karl Marx's birth years. 1818 through 1883. When did this come out? It came out pretty early. Yeah, wait. The first is based on lectures delivered by Marx before the German Working Men's Club of Brussels in 1847. Okay, so this came out in 1847. So this is the year before the Communist Manifesto. Let's go ahead and get into it. This is a short chapter. This is Wage, Labor, and Capital, Chapter 1, Preliminary. This will be a real quick read. From various quarters, we have been reproached for neglecting to portray the economic conditions which form the material basis of the present struggles between classes and nations. With set purpose, we have hitherto touched upon these conditions only when they forced themselves upon the surface of the political conflicts. It was necessary, beyond everything else, to follow the development of the class struggle in the history of our own day, and to prove empirically, by the actual and daily newly created historical material, that with the subjugation of the working class accomplished in the days of February and March 1848, the opponents of that class, the bourgeois republicans in France, and the bourgeois and peasant classes who were fighting feudal absolutism throughout the whole continent of Europe, were simultaneously conquered, that the victory of the moderate republic in France sounded at the same time the fall of the nations which had responded to the February Revolution with heroic wars of independence. And finally, where was I at? I'm sorry. And finally, that by the victory over the revolutionary workingmen, Europe fell back into its old double slavery, into the English-Russian slavery. This June conflict in Paris, the fall of Vienna, the tragic comedy in Berlin, in November 1848, the desperate efforts of Poland, Italy, and Hungary, the starvation of Ireland into submission. These were the chief events in which the European class struggle between the bourgeoisie and the working class was summed up, and from which we proved that every revolutionary uprising, however remote from the class struggle its object might appear, must of necessity fail until the revolutionary working class shall have conquered. That every social reform must remain a utopia until the proletarian revolution and the feudalistic counter-revolution have been pitted against each other in worldwide war. In our presentation, as in reality, Belgium and Switzerland were tragicomic caricaturish genre pictures in the great historic tableau. The one, the model state of the bourgeois monarchy, the other, the model state of the bourgeois republic. Both of them, states that flatter themselves to be just as free from the class struggle as from the European Revolution. But now, after our readers have seen the class struggle of the year 1848 develop into colossal political proportions, it is time to examine more closely the economic conditions themselves upon which is founded the existence of the capitalist class and its class rule, as well as the slavery of the workers. We shall present the subject in three great divisions. 1. The relation of wage labor to capital, the slavery of the worker, the rule of the capitalist. 2. The inevitable ruin of the middle classes and the so-called commons under the present system. 3. The commercial subjugation and exploitation of the bourgeois classes of the various European nations by the despot of the world market, England. We shall seek to portray this as simply and popularly as possible, and shall not presuppose a knowledge of even the most elementary notions of political economy. We wish to be understood by the workers, and moreover, there prevails in Germany the most remarkable ignorance and confusion of ideas in regard to the simplest economic relations. From the patented defenders of existing conditions, down to the socialist wonder workers and the unrecognized political geniuses in which divided Germany is even richer than in duodecimo princelings. We therefore proceed to the consideration of the first problem. Okay, so that was, see some notes here. 1. It must be remembered that this was written over 40 years ago. Today, the class struggle in Switzerland, and especially in Belgium, has reached that degree of development where it compels recognition from even the most superficial observers of political industrial life. Translator's note to 1891 edition. Who's the translator? Did Engels translate this? Who translated this? The New Reichsung was in 1849. This was the lecture delivered by Marx for the German Workingmen's Club. Who translated it? Frederick Engels, I guess. That's who wrote the introduction. Well, let's see. Let's see this date. Yeah, 1891. I figured Engels translated it. So, number 2. That is the, quote, common people as distinct from the noble and clerical or religious people originating in feudal times, in the rank of freeman and townburgher. The commons or citizens, burgher, burghers, citizens, citizens, or bourgeois, form the starting point of the bourgeoisie. Number 3, as stated by Engels in the introduction, the series of articles on wage labor, that was ED, I'm not sure what ED is. As stated by Engels in the introduction, the series of articles on wage labor and capital remain incomplete. The pamphlet is confined almost exclusively to a consideration of the first great division, the relation of wage labor to capital. Okay, yeah. So that's going to be that's the first chapter. Next, we're going to get into chapter 2 of this, and they're going to be shorter chapters. So yeah, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr, Medium, all of these Marxists saw. Follow me there. Hit me up. Please reach out to me, and y'all have a great day. No doubt, go away.